How's it going, Wastelanders? It is me, the Lone Vault Wanderer, with a Fallout 4 discussion video. So the question for today's video, would you like to see BGS not do another Fallout game and instead undertake a new original game? Let me know in the comments below, I would really appreciate it. So the other day, a journalist on IGN going by the name of Jared Petty, he wrote an editorial piece and also accompanied by a video on how he thought Fallout 4 should be the last Fallout game. And understandably, this video and this article got a lot of hate on the internet. At the very least, it was very controversial. But I still think that it raises an interesting discussion, and he does make some interesting points about how he believes Fallout 4 should be the last Fallout game, and I'll get into those. But what I want to stress before I actually talk about this topic is that I'm not trying to express hate towards Jared. In fact, I think spreading hate towards him is quite silly and quite absurd. You can easily disagree with his opinion, but doing so in a respectful way. So if you'd like to express your opinion on the YouTube video or on the editorial piece, either way, whether you agree or disagree with him, the links to those are in the comments below. Because again, I think it raises an interesting discussion, one that I'm enjoying actually watching from the sidelines and also now trying to engage with. So let me initially express my opinions as bluntly as possible. No, I do not think Fallout 4 should be the last Fallout, and I do disagree with Jared, again in a respectful way, but I do disagree with his opinion. And to sum it up quite crudely, Jared's arguments that Fallout 4 should be the last Fallout game is predominantly, for the most part as far as I saw, based on the fact that he would like to see Bethesda Game Studios undertake a new IP. And I think that's a very interesting point, and I would actually love to see Bethesda Game Studios undertake a new IP. Just look at what they do with Fallout, look at what they do with the Elder Scrolls. I think it would be fascinating, absolutely incredible to see them create a new game, an original IP, and so we can explore another open world expansive game, you know, with a new setting, with new locations, new characters, new lore, new theories, new everything. I think that would be absolutely incredible. But on the flip side, I cannot deny where my roots lie. I am a hardcore Fallout fan and a hardcore fan of what Bethesda Game Studios does. And I certainly do not want Fallout 4 to be the last Fallout game by any means. But the very first thought that came to my mind when I saw Jared's article and his accompanied video is that, why can't we have both? Why can't we have Bethesda create another Fallout game and also create a new original IP? Now, I'm not saying that Bethesda should go down this route, but this is simply for argument's sake. If for argument's sake we were to assume that Bethesda wanted to create a new IP and set out to do that, what I'm saying is that that does not necessarily mean that Fallout 4 has to be the last Fallout. I think that's a little bit of an exaggeration, because there are many paths that Bethesda can actually take in order to create a new IP, in order to ensure that Fallout 4 still gets another game after it, whether it's a direct sequel or whether it's a spin-off like New Vegas was. Now, New Vegas is technically not a spin-off if you're a hardcore Fallout fan, but you get my point. So if we were to take this assumption that Bethesda wanted to create a new intellectual property, what are the alternatives for Fallout? How can we actually get another Fallout game out of the Bethesda family? The first thing that comes to mind, and that came to many people's minds, is simply outsourcing the Fallout franchise again to Obsidian. People loved Fallout New Vegas, and I also see this underlying trend, particularly nowadays in the Fallout community, in that people strongly believe, that Obsidian is going to take the Fallout franchise, if they were given another chance with another Fallout game, that they would take the franchise back to its traditional notional RPG roots. And I do believe that is true. I cannot deny that Bethesda has taken the Fallout franchise into a different direction to cater to a more mainstream audience. And I could very well easily see Obsidian wanting to bring Fallout back to those traditional roots, because effectively, that's what they did with New Vegas. That's why they went back to the West. That's why they catered so heavily towards the older Fallout games. So I know that people would love to see Obsidian create another Fallout game. So while you have Bethesda Game Studios creating a new original IP, you can then have Obsidian on the side creating another Fallout game, whatever that might be. So that's an option. Secondly, and this is a video that I wanted to record just the other day before Bethesda actually announced this, Bethesda Game Studios could expand and could open another studio. And this is important because they've literally just done that. Bethesda Game Studios actually opened an office in Montreal, which has already established a core team of more than 40 developers. And the reason why this is important in potentially creating a new Fallout game is because with these added resources and with this added capacity, also noting that the Montreal and the Bethesda Maryland office are still recruiting and wanted to recruit more developers, I could easily see two different games, a Fallout and a new IP, being developed simultaneously between these two offices. You could have half of the team that still want to create Fallout in the original Bethesda Game Studios do that for the next Fallout game, and then half of the team that want to experiment with something different, working with half of the team at the Montreal office, and then the other half at the Montreal can help with Bethesda Game Studios with Fallout. So however you want to cut it, there are so many different things that can be done with two different studios. Additionally, you can also have the Montreal office create a new IP, but Jared Petty's point is that he wanted to see Bethesda Game Studios, as it currently stands now, with the majority of the developers that it has now, creating a new IP. So what I'm trying to envision is a scenario where most of the Bethesda Maryland team are creating a new IP. So there is that option as well. Thirdly, and kind of related to that option, BGS could simply expand. I mean, the Bethesda family is big enough, it's profitable enough to be able to literally double the size of BGS. Now, of course, that comes with its own disadvantages, in that BGS is a small core team of 100 people, something which is quite unique in terms of AAA developers in the gaming industry nowadays. But because of that, they work quite closely with one another, they trust each other, they have very close relationships, and because of that team dynamic, I think that's what makes Fallout such a unique game, and the Elder Scrolls such unique games, because they have that connection, they have that relationship, that trust with one another, that they can create this amazing game that is so big and so expansive, and that people absolutely love. But, again, if you were to double the size of the BGS studio in Maryland, for example, you could still have 100 people creating the next Fallout game, half of which are the original BGS team and the other half are the new team, and then the other 50% of the original Maryland team are creating the new IP, and then the remaining bits are the new employees. So I guess what I'm trying to get at, and there are so many different suggestions I could actually throw right now, what I'm trying to say is that it is not mutually exclusive. Bethesda certainly have the money and the resources to be able to create a new IP, a new original game that we haven't seen before, and still create a new Fallout game. So that's why I didn't necessarily agree with Jared's argument. I agreed with the fact that I'd love to see BGS create a new original IP, but that in and of itself does not have the necessary implication that Fallout 4 has to be the last game. And then this comes to the very last suggestion I could say. BGS could just alternate between 3 games instead of 2. Now that would mean we would have to wait like 14 years in between each Fallout game, but it's still a possibility. Very unlikely, but it is there. So anyways, Wastelanders, I would love to get your thoughts on this particular topic. Please leave them in the comments below. And until next time, this has been the Lone Vault Wanderer. Please take care of yourself. And as always, keep fighting the good fight.